All right. All right. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Everybody, please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear us. I'm gonna check that right quick. Check the sound. Let's see. Okay. Check. Check. Okay. Shabbat shalom, Brother Byron. Brother Monty. Shabbat shalom. All right. Everybody just put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. If we're coming through clear. All right. The water family. The water. All right. All praise. All praise. Okay. All right. I'm Captain Shazael LRA with Kingdom of Israel, United Worldwide. As always, I want to give all honor, power, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Today, we're bringing out a Sabbath lesson. Our Sabbath lesson today is Babylon wants you in her army. I want y'all to take a look at this real quick. Okay, if you took a look at that, that's our dear brother, ASAP Rocky, rapper extraordinaire in a dress on the cover of GQ magazine.
That was a skirt.
Like the sister says, with the shirt over his head, just finished, done. Okay, I want to show y'all. There's a magazine on. Some of y'all may know, some of y'all may not know. I do a lot of travel, and there's a magazine on American Airlines called American Way, and it just happened to catch my attention, and I want everybody to see this. This is on the cover of American Way, which is American Airlines, which is the largest airline on the planet. So this is in every single plane. Every single plane. They got a huge write-up on homosexual neighborhoods. If everybody can see that. Everybody see that? It's the American Way. Go ahead.
Right now, with American Airlines, it is LBGTQ. It's the alphabet time.
Okay.
It's to celebrate the pride.
Okay.
So
That's this whole month.
and this is with American Airlines. They're really pushing it out there. You know, of course, I work for the company, so I can't really say much. But that's what they're doing right now. And when it's like Black history or Asian history, whatever history it is, they don't push it like they push what they're pushing now.
Right. This is on every single plane. They don't have a variant. Like they don't have a variant of this magazine. This is in every single seat, every single plane of American Airlines right now. What? American Way, right here. Show you something. You ever look on the back of your $1 bill?
Yeah.
What do y'all notice that's funny about your $1 bill?
Pyramid.
The eye, the pyramid. Everybody notice that, right?
Yeah.
Pyramid, right? Okay. Give me Isaiah 13 and 19. As a matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And what we're going to do is we're going to show and prove we are in Sodom and Egypt all over again. Okay. Deuteronomy 28 and 68.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Wait, he's going to do what?
bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
He's going to bring you into Egypt again with what?
With ships.
With ships. So everybody understand that that word Egypt is a Greek word.
Yes.
Okay, that's not even an English word. That's a Greek word, and it means bondage. Okay, because ancient Egypt was actually called Mizraim. It was not called Egypt, and it described Upper and Lower Egypt. Okay, go ahead and finish that.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall buy you. So we understand this is talking about the slave ships, the transatlantic slave trade. There's only one group of peoples on the earth that fit that, and those are the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American Indians of Seminole and Negro descent, who have fell under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. Okay, so we do have a prophecy of Egypt. Let's go to Isaiah 13 and 19. Okay, and bring that up.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19. And Babylon.
And what?
And Babylon.
And Babylon, come on.
The glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
So this we know. Now, can anybody tell me how Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed? By fire. Now, was ancient Babylon destroyed by fire? King Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, was that destroyed by fire? No. So we understand Isaiah is speaking about future prophecy. He's not talking about ancient Babylon. He's talking about the kingdom that we're in right now. Okay? Because this is the glory of the kingdoms. This is why this is the American way right here. Isn't that something? The American way. Right there. Okay? Let's get 2nd Esdras 16 and 1. And this is why when you look on the back of your dollar bill, you see a pyramid on the back of your money. Because you are literally in Egypt again. Physically in Egypt again. Okay? Physically in bondage. Okay? 2nd Esdras 16 and 1.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, verse 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack.
Wait, read that again. Read verse 1 again.
Salakia. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria.
So destruction of Babylon, destruction of Asia, destruction of Egypt and Syria. Come on.
Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand.
Read on.
A sword is sent upon you.
A sword's going to be sent upon you. Read.
And who may turn it back?
Who's going to stop it? Who's going to stop the sword of the Most High? Okay. Read.
A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it?
Who's going to put that fire out when he sends that fire to destroy you? Read.
Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away?
Pharaoh couldn't do it. Donald Trump couldn't do it.
There you go.
Biden can't do it. He's part of the plague.
That's right.
Read.
Verse 6. May any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it have begun to burn.
You can't fight off a hungry lion. And you're not going to be able to put out a fire in stubble once it's lit. Right? Read.
Verse 7. May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer.
So you got, if the so-called Robin Hood was riding around here with a bow and arrow and he shot a bow and arrow, you can't stop that arrow. It's going to hit what it's going to hit. Okay? Read.
The mighty Yahweh sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it?
So that's good. So everybody understand that there is an extreme prophecy regarding the destruction of Babylon or America, okay, in the end, right? Go ahead, what you got?
So since we're talking about Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know, in Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, there's a glass pyramid.
That's right.
And like, I think it was Memphis was the capital
That's
of
right.
Egypt back then. And like, you know, you see a glass pyramid, so like, how can you not be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm really in Egypt right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Because we take things for granted that this society is just going to go on and on and on and on. You know, you're not going to go on and on producing the same wickedness over and over and over and destroying the same people. Okay, it's not going to happen. So, what I want to do is I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if I can get this right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna watch a quick discussion regarding reparations, most high willing. That my video worked for me today. Let's see. Let's see if Google lets us talk about it. Yeah, interesting. Interesting discussion. We're going to kind of discuss it. Now, this brother right here, very, very smart brother. He got ostracized for speaking against the so-called Jewish people. And they kicked him off of CNN.
Wow.
And now he's got, his name is Mark Lamont Hill, and it's called Black News Tonight. So they're independent news channel. So y'all check them out. They're bringing a lot of news, a lot of stuff coming out that they're bringing out, and it's good. It's really good to know. Okay, unbiased, but you're gonna kind of see. We're gonna show a couple of clips. This one's gonna be about reparations, and there's a guy named Arthur Coleman Hughes, and he's gonna speak on why so-called black folks shouldn't get reparations. Okay. Yeah.
Since it's funny that you brought this up. I don't know if anybody else picked up on this, but yesterday on the news, Biden was on there Friday and Thursday. So we all are familiar with America knows the Holocaust as of the killing that Hitler killed all the so-called original Jews back in the WW2 during my dad's era in the military. Well, they don't talk about that same issue that was turned on its head in the 20s in Oklahoma. Now they want to talk about retribution. What about that? Biden went to Oklahoma and discussed the possibilities of opening up financial institutions to donate money to all of those families that were enslaved and destroyed back then. And we're talking 80 damn years ago. Our people know nothing about retribution. We have never seen retribution since the beginning of time. This would extremely be exciting if it comes to fruition. But as we know, America, as Farrakhan said, being the H.O. that she is, we're not going to see that.
Right.
So let's keep it real, but keep that in mind. I'm quite sure some of you all in here don't know about the massacre of our people. They call it Black Wall Street. They destroyed, they burned, they lynched. They even had airplanes dropping bombs like they was in a world war.
Right.
They destroyed our people.
And
all the hospitals,
right.
All the hospitals, all the schools,
You know,
everything.
right. And you know what? That was the one time in American history that we actually dropped a bomb on our own soil. And that was during the time of Black Wall Street, during Tulsa.
Yeah.
The first and only time we dropped a bomb on our own country.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and watch this clip. Let me see if I can get the volume up. Can if everybody online can hear it, just kind of let us know. So this guy is saying that it is a moral and political mistake to give reparations for slavery. Just in case everybody can't hear him or understand what he's saying. So morally and politically, it's wrong, according to him. All right. Now we're gonna hear a little bit more. Now, family, I have to keep it low because of the feedback. Everybody's hearing it online at a regular, sound, but in the room, I have to keep it low because of the feedback. So y'all can hear it, right? Everybody can hear it? You can hear? Okay. So it's morally wrong to pay people that survived Jim Crow for what they went through. Okay, y'all hear this, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, slave master got him trained real good. Okay, listen to this. Is there a moral obligation to take money from one individual and give it to that person for a crime that happened 200 years ago? That's a very different situation. And one needs to have to consider whether it's politically wise to do that, whether it actually serves the interests of the community that is suffering from many different problems and the kind of things to solve. To frame that solution of reparations, saying essentially blaming the group of people that don't feel connected to the crime because it was so long ago. And we're watching this because y'all need to understand the conversations that are going on. This is what's being talked about in America that y'all don't see. That's why I advise everybody to watch this Black News Tonight. I advise y'all to watch. They have many different topics and they talk about all different things. But I happen to catch this. Oh, step and fetching right here. Okay. This. This is fair use. I got to make my disclaimer. So
Is that not the case? But
right.
Is that not the current state of things?
Right. Because technically, under the 13th Amendment right now, anybody in prison is a slave. So you got to talk that conversation about their children. If that's morally correct for a slave's child after one generation, you got to talk about all of our people that are in prison and their children, because they're feeling the effects of slavery right now. Okay. So, you know, like you said, he's eating his own words, but just kind of take a listen, you know, because we need to be aware of this. We need to be aware of what's going on. Listen, Judas was a black man. Got paid off. That was a warrant.
Yeah.
They came for Yahushua with the guards. They had a warrant with the Pharisees, right? Which are the modern day Christian pastors. They showed up with the police with a warrant. He said, he's over here. I want my money. Who does that sound like?
That's the Lord that they offer people to turn people in.
There you go.
And they do it today still.
And they do it today.
Yep.
It's our people.
They're gonna do it when we don't take the COVID shots. They're gonna be turning
Look,
us in.
Israel, we gotta wake up. We gotta wake up.
Or it's too late.
Yeah. We're selling each other down the river.
Hold on.
Black people love to tell.
Oh man, I got a good story for y'all. Hold on.
House per 48. Boy, let me tell you.
Oh man, they
For
tell
a
for a piece of beef, a cheese
Yeah.
pizza.
Pack of smokes.
Right?
Yeah.
What they said, you already know they finna tell when they sit him down, give him a cigarette. They come back from commercial, they smoking a cigarette, they're like, yeah, he done told.
Hey, smoking a cigarette, got a cool Coca-Cola in his hand.
Yeah.
There you go.
What he wants, like, you know, if they got rid of reparations, it's like, that's important stuff, but why does it have to be for those reparations? Like,
Watch. Yeah. Watch what he's gonna say. And that's a good question. Very good question. Because watch, he's gonna address that. Watch this. Remember what you just asked? He's addressing it. The other side of the equation. Slave masters, the so-called white man, Esau. So now we got to consider him. Watch this.
Wow.
I'm gonna ask y'all something. If I kick in your door or your house, kill your daddy, kill everybody in the house, and live in the house, move in the house, and live there, have children, 2 generations deep, should I pay for that crime? Should the children pay for that crime? Is there any statute of limitations on murder?
No, there's
It's
no
not.
statute of limitations on murder.
There's no statute of limitations on murder. So that means whether it's 10 years or 50 years,
That's right.
you still held accountable for it.
That's right.
However, that does not apply to a certain group of people.
Don't
You understand that? Okay. Right. You understand who the laws are written for. You know, these are things that we got to prove. See, because we can say this all day long until we start proving it. It's kind of like to the lame brains that are just the walking dead, they can't see it.
But it's simple. It's a simple concept. It's like you enslave everybody, kill everybody, then you take hold of the wealth, and then at that point you're the person selling and not the person buying. So your descendants are gonna be people selling rather than buying, and the descendants of the people who you give that to, they gotta be on the opposite end. This is sickening, man.
But they started this. All went back to the Roman.
What's this?
Unfortunately, there is a different situation with them today. And you can't not just because reparation was given by the for a historical crime, it does not necessarily mean that the great grandchildren can demand of the great grandchildren of the perpetrators that you pay them down. I think it's tragic, but a multiracial society with a history like we do cannot survive. The principle we're gonna abide by is we're not only solving our crimes, but we're trying to solve all of our history and mitigate.
So his concern is the society. Our society.
They got him trying real.
Our society can't survive like this. That's what he said. Our society can't survive like this. So what you're saying is, technically what he's saying to you subconsciously, he's saying our society operates on slavery.
Right.
So you need to stay a slave and don't ask for. Oh no, here it is. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a Chromebook second.
No, that's this one.
That's annoying.
His intentions, like,
What happened to that
healthcare.
Well, it sounded like
I think this Chromebook.
Did it just go off?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just went on.
Does it have outlines of the keys on the screen?
I was alive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want to be in the same room with that dude.
While you're setting that up,
To listen to him say something.
I hear you.
That's wild.
But you know, it's amazing. We look like each other.
He could be Esau. He might be Esau.
you know,
We went to
Japanese
the same
Americans.
school.
Hold on. That we're gonna touch on all of that. Hold on. I want to make sure. Let me jump back on here real quick. Jump back on here. Okay. We just had a little technical difficulty. Select everybody. Give me 1 second. Jump right back on here. Yeah, we're gonna bring that out. What you're talking about now? That's actually gonna come up.
I'm not gonna hear
All right. So. Give me a second. We're gonna get right back to the video. Okay. So they're finally placing the bill in the House. That's why, and this thing has been around for a while anyway. Okay. Okay. Let's see if Step and fetch him and come back up. I don't know what just happened. You hear that? So it would probably be proper to give reparations to the slaves' children. Probably. That's what he said. Because that's the way they think about it. You know, 3/5 of a human. You know, humans aren't considered in that way. Okay? Animals are considered more than that. You understand that? Animals are considered more than we're considered. All right? They don't talk this way about animals. You actually can go to jail for life for killing a canine that is part of the police force. Did y'all know that?
For life?
For life.
Yeah.
It's a charge for life. But if it's a grown man with a daughter and children that gets killed, that looks like us, they get to walk away free. Or they get put on administrative leave for about 2 months. About 2 months, and then
Still getting paid.
Yeah. Here we go. So y'all are just supposed to shut up and be slaves.
Right.
Don't ask for nothing. Just pull yourself up by your bootstrap when they didn't do it.
Right.
That's so crazy.
Oh my.
This unforgettable vacation memory. It didn't actually begin here. This memory began when family took their summer vacation.
I don't want people walking back here because of these wires.
Hey, you want me to pull my table down so that there'll be space or somebody?
Yeah, maybe so. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. There you go. And that was very well said. That was very well said, because that's the argument. You can't put a whole nation of people enslave them, and then 6 generations say, oh, well, there's no effect from what we did for 10 generations of them being here. You see what I'm saying? So that is very well said, because systematic oppression works exactly the way he's explaining it. That's an articulate way to say it, you know? In a way that Sambo or Steppin' Fetchin' or Friend Steven right here, y'all know who Friend Steven is, right? From Django. Oh, that's good. On that night.
He was on my Delta plane coming down.
You saw him?
Was
he in character?
Man, he was in character. I said, you did a good job, Samuel.
Oh, wow.
Serving them Gentiles.
Oh,
man, like nobody ignored us. The Gentiles, boy, he was, man.
He was all over.
He was a butler. I ain't thinking he was a Protestant. He was a butler.
He was a butler.
He was a butler.
Unbelievable.
He played that.
He played it.
He
played it well.
I mean, he defended Esau like it was nobody there.
Oh. So everybody understand what he just said. Steppin' Fetchin' is saying, oh, it's not right for the slaves, the slaves, the great-great-grandchildren of the slaves to go to the great-great-grandchildren of the slave masters and ask them for money. That's what he's posing, right? And watch what the brother's saying. Right. Listen good. The institutions that were created from the wealth from free labor, like hundreds of years of free labor. This is what he's talking about, right? So everybody understand, they're not saying that the slave masters have to come off of anything, but the institutions that benefited, because a lot of those white folks are only going to be worth so much money. But when you go to Wells Fargo, you talk about what's that company, Lords of London? You start going with all these companies that are billion-dollar companies.
Union Pacific.
These companies need to pay. They need to pay.
Levi Strauss.
They all need to pay. That's all it is. And this is the point. This is the point, because the argument is about, oh, well, they're going to take money from our pockets. No. We don't want your money. We want the institutional money. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what that is. See, what it is that's tapping into their generational wealth. That's what it does. It taps into their generational wealth. When you start taking money from Union Pacific, those are pensions.
Yeah.
Those are pensions. Those are retirement funds.
Levi Strauss. biggest jean manufacturer in the world. Who you think picked that damn cotton to make them damn
Yeah. And how do you justify them not paying?
Come on now.
How do you justify them not paying? They got free labor to be where they are now.
Like Wall Street, we were the first commodity.
There you go. There you go.
We would
When you
stop.
when you start talking about that stock, when you start talking about what Black Friday really is, you start talking about the first commodity was people.
Yes.
Like Wall Street got to pay. The system has to pay. You see what I'm saying? This is why they don't want the conversation to come up. And I'm going to tell you why the rest of the world supports America in this. Because if we start talking about it with America, we got to talk about it with everybody on the planet. We kicked off the world economy through slavery. That was what happened. You understand? That's why the rest of the countries don't want to talk about this. That's why they're like, yeah, don't talk about that. We don't want to talk about that, right?
So in essence, we were a damn commodity.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that admitted Gaddafi, they killed him. He
Yeah.
admitted that.
Come on.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And he was actually good for his people. He was good for his people. Let's see. There's a problem with repairing damage because we're talking about us. If we're talking about repairing the damage that was done to Arabs or Chinese, there's no problem. Yeah, there's no problem. We're not gonna have this conversation. Watch.
The first is the idea that yes, slavery was technically long ago in terms of years, but the harm has persisted in that national. So I think it's a lot more complicated than that. And listen, I know this is not a popular opinion, but my ancestors were slaves in this country, as most white people were, and I think there's a degree which for moments away in our world, the struggles of our ancestors. And if you think about it, they consider hypothetically the person born in the 90s. To what extent?
Listen to this. Listen to this analogy. Now we're talking about Jewish people. Okay? Isn't this funny? Watch.
I think a lot of people would be very skeptical of that. They would say maybe the parents would be their parents. There's a certain amount of years of the crime that makes those kinds of things less plausible. And that's just my opinion. I understand that. I don't see how it's not true.
They get reparations.
Yeah, they got a whole lot.
Yeah.
The whole country.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
Now, when did they do that?
Let me
They got
stop.
reparations. They got paid.
Let me stop sharing. Now I want to say this. Everybody, if y'all could like and share the video. Shabbat Shalom. Yanni. Shabbat Shalom. Brother Ira Yasharala. Yabashim Yashabrakta. Shabbat Shalom, Teacher Israel. Appreciate you all being on with us. Just thumbs up the video if you can. I want to share. Can't barely hear. Okay. Yeah, I apologize about that. I want to make sure that y'all can hear it. We just can't get in. We're having feedback in the room trying to watch it, so that's why we don't have it up so loud so we can hear it in the room. Now, I want to show y'all something because about 3 points I want to make. If y'all notice, it's always complicated. It's always too complicated to deal with any kind of justice for the so-called black man and a Latino man. Okay, it's always a problem. Okay, it's always too complicated. When they were dealing with the children in the border, okay, they were taken away from their parents, and they started asking where the men were. It was too complicated to talk about. Okay, so they didn't even want to deal with it. Now we're talking about something like reparations is just too complicated to deal with. Okay, anything having to do with us is just too complicated. Now I want to show y'all something. Share my screen right quick. because I always want to make sure that we prove what we're speaking of here. Okay. And I'm going to show y'all, see if y'all can see this. Let me blow this up a little bit. And Navi, you kind of brought this up. Japanese Americans received reparations in 1942. Okay, the injustice took place between 1942 and when the Japanese were first interned in 1945, when the war ended. The perpetrator, the U.S. government, was easily identifiable, and the interment of Japanese Americans violated the values of ethnic equality and ownership of property. So that's what it was about, because their property was confiscated. Okay, the Japanese Americans were not tortured or murdered, raped, robbed, set on fire, hung, kidnapped, drowned, beaten, set on fire. That didn't happen to them. I'm gonna finish this. Quite a few former internees were still alive in '88 when reparations were offered. U.S. Senators Daniel Inouye and Spark Matuzinga became symbolic victims. They were both Second World War veterans, and one had lost an arm in battle. Finally, amount was paid, relatively low, $20,000 for each of the 80,000 living survivors, for a total of about $1.6 trillion. 1.6 billion. It's like, okay, so they saw reparations.
Yeah.
So it didn't get complicated for them, right?
Right.
Interesting. Let me stop sharing the screen.
Okay. And also, it wasn't, he didn't get to that part, but and my dad shared this with me before he passed. When they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, like, you know, Japan got retribution from us here in the United States, the taxpayers. The government sent them money for that.
For Hiroshima.
For Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't find out this till I was on active duty in 75 to 85 that they did Germany the same damn way.
Germany too.
Yeah, when I went to Germany,
the Germans got paid.
Yes, Germany got paid. When I went to Germany for the first time in 78, my division, we went over there. Hell on Wheels from down here in Houston, Tank Division. I was up in 9th Division up in Fort Lewis. I was talking to my Command Sergeant Major, and he said, "Do you know this whole area where you're training at was destroyed during the WW2?" I said, "What?" And as I'm looking around, all of this looks spank brand new. The autobahns and everything. So I'm like, the American people's taxes and everything paid for this. They built Germany up. They built Japan up. And who knows? Oh, well, you got to know what they've done to Saigon and Vietnam, because that was destroyed, and it wasn't but a little time ago.
That was in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, because
right?
Vietnam is actually French Indochina, and people didn't know that.
Right.
And to shorten this, what I'm saying is, the Marines were going to Nam right after the end of the Korean conflict. And they didn't stop bringing them back until I went in 75. They were still bringing the last POWs up out of now. And we're talking about the whole northern Vietnam. I mean, it's just
So you're saying that on top of the Japanese getting paid for Hiroshima, the Germans got paid for the war.
yes,
Right?
yes.
Okay. Now that's going to bring me to my third and last point about this video. The Jewish people received reparations in 1948 when they got the children of Israel's land.
That's right.
While Israel were under segregation and Jim Crow in America.
Come on.
Okay. So they own land and they continue to get, wait for it, $3 billion a year from the American government, courtesy of the working class, which is the children of Israel here in this country.
That's right.
How's that not reparations? How didn't they get reparations?
Come on.
Okay, they got reparations, and on top of that, I'm gonna go back to, I got you, don't forget your question. On top of that, the slave owners, when they had to let their slaves go, they got reparations for losing slaves. How many of us knew that?
Yep.
You knew about that?
Yeah.
You got something to say on that?
I told my husband about it. I had a debate my senior year of high school, whether or not we deserved reparations or not, and if we were still in slavery today. I had said that we definitely were, that it was a modern day slavery. And my teacher stopped me after class, and he got very mad at me, and he told me that I couldn't talk like that. He had an agenda, that he had things that he had to teach, and that I could get myself killed for thinking that way, and that I might want to keep those things to myself. He was very mad, a white man. And I was like, well, you just proved that I have something. I have something, right? And he tried to fail me for the class so I wouldn't graduate because of what I was saying. I didn't have the same knowledge, but I had a hunch that something wasn't right. And it was crazy. I never forgot that.
Go ahead.
But I had never forgot about that. I always thought, I have something here. I need to figure out more about what I think is going on.
See, so the whole point of the conversation being about reparations, it goes deeper than what we really are taught. Okay, go ahead, sis.
History teacher was telling them that Yahweh was black, but he was saying G-O-D.
Yeah.
But he was giving them that he's black, y'all are the chosen ones. And India sending me pictures of it. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? She was like, my teacher. So I said, ask your teacher after class, why are you doing it? And she asked him, and he was like, I have a feeling that what we're teaching is not right. He said, and I reread the scriptures and I understand. And he said, it'll be on my hands if I didn't.
That's
But
right.
he wound up getting fired because he wouldn't stop teaching.
There you go.
Wow. How about that?
I just recently had a
How about that?
And what was he? It was his
See?
Oh, you Latino?
Yeah. So,
I just had a customer recently at my job on the test drive. He was I think he was Chinese or something. But he was telling me for sure that what they teach in school, the history, he was a history teacher. He said it's not accurate. It's just whitewashed and they just have to teach it.
And he's a teacher.
Teacher.
See, because fighting for our enemy has made our people a lot of money. Okay, let's be clear about it. And a lot of times this is all what our people care about is making money, and that's what's destroyed our people.
That's their God.
Because just like the Most High has an army, his enemy does too. Y'all gotta understand that. This is why we're talking about it. So you gotta ask yourself who you're fighting for. Are you fighting for Yahweh, our enemies, or yourself? That's what you gotta ask. Go ahead.
I'm looking at this article, just anyway, by the conversationist that was back in July 17th of 2019. And just when you were talking about how difficult for everything is, I'm just going to read this little part, but it talks about, it says, why Japanese Americans receive reparations and African Americans are still waiting. Now, this was back in 2019. We're now 2021, still having the same discussion, trying to figure out why it's so complicated. And here's some of the things they said. It says these differences explain why it will be more difficult for African Americans than Japanese Americans to receive reparations. It says conditions for reparations. It is much easier to obtain reparations under the following conditions. The number of victims is relatively small.
So there's got to be a few victims. I know exactly what article you read. Go ahead.
The victims are easily identifiable.
So you know exactly who they are.
Many of the direct victims are still alive, which is what that Coon said.
Yep.
The injustice took place during a relative short time period. The perpetrator is known, as if we don't know who our perpetrator is. Okay, the injustice is easily identifiable, as if we don't know that. The injustice offends values of equality, personal safety, and or the right to own property, which is still going on today. There's a symbolic victim around whom advocates for reparations can rally. We have plenty of symbolic victims. The amount of reparation asked for is not so large that the public will find it unreasonable. So they're looking at, if we said $5 each person, I guess that wouldn't be unreasonable.
That wouldn't be unreasonable. Yeah, that wouldn't be unreasonable due to the fact that it's low enough for everybody to approve.
And so the excuse for Japanese Americans is that, oh, there wasn't that many. It was, the excuses that they give, because in this thing it says it's difficult. It's difficult to give us reparations.
Correct.
It's too much.
It's too much. Well, hold on. What'd you say, sis?
It's too many of us. It's too much.
And it's too much.
Right. Because the whole world owes.
Okay. That's the issue. That's the bottom line and the real issue.
And it'll piggyback off of other people that they've done it to as well, because the so-called blacks are the largest, but then you have Hispanics as well, Native Americans. So it's like it would be a domino effect for them, and they would lose a lot with just the so-called blacks, not including everybody else.
Right. So then you got to pay everybody.
Right. That puts us in a position to do a prophecy where it would be the end of the world. Esau in the beginning of Jacob.
Yeah,
they know that.
But you might as well, like you said, you might as well pay everybody. But see, what you fail to realize is they've paid every damn body, but
that's right.
They use them stimulus checks to say we paying.
Yeah, but they paying everybody. But see, you heard what Stephen Fetchner said. He said it was about everybody, right? And we're gonna get into something else too. Let's get the scripture. Let's get Hosea 5:10. Okay, we're gonna give them 7 seconds. All right. Hosea 5:10. Hold on. Give me a second. Be sharp on that sword. 5:10.
Oh, Dad, there's this.
Don't forget what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Okay, this is the book of Hosea, chapter 5, verse 10. The princes of Judah were like them that removed the bound. Therefore, I will pour out my wrath upon them like water. Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment, because he willingly walked after the commandments.
So this is talking about the southern and northern kingdom. The Most High giving that judgment out to both kingdoms. Okay, go ahead.
Therefore, will I be unto Ephraim as a moth, and to the house of Judah as rottenness. When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Judah saw his wound, then went Ephraim to the Assyrian.
So Ephraim went to the Assyrian. The northern kingdom went to the Assyrian and served their gods in captivity. Go ahead.
And sent to King Jareb, yet could he not heal you, nor cure you of your wound.
So their God didn't cure you. Their gods didn't help you. You were still messed up. Go ahead.
Verse 14. For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I will tear and go away.
I will tear and go away. Go ahead.
I will take away, and none shall rescue him.
Bring it home, verse 15.
Verse 15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense.
So they what?
Until they acknowledge their offense.
Till the northern and southern kingdom acknowledge their offense. Read.
And seek my face.
Okay.
In their affliction, they will seek me early.
In their affliction, they're going to seek me early. So in the time of judgment, we're going to seek him, because you can't turn nowhere else. You can't turn to your oppressor. Look what they're talking about. It's too much. It's just too complicated to talk about doing anything with you right now. It's too much. Look, take my card. Don't call us. We'll call you. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's the way they roll. Okay, let's get Jeremiah 2 and 13. Okay, what you got? Okay, is it pertaining to this?
It's just something I want you to like know.
Jeremiah 2 and 1.
2 and 13. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
There's a documentary. It's like this one YouTube channel that covers a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It says inside the KKK meeting with the Imperial Wizard. Like I got recommended like twice.
Recommended, huh?
Yeah.
By YouTube?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Recommended my son to go and watch the Imperial Wizard.
It's because I watched on the.
No, I know. I'm just saying, isn't there some the algorithms, the way they do these things? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Jeremiah 2 and 13. Bring that up.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
For my people have committed two evils.
They have committed two evils. Read.
They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters.
They have forsaken the fountain of living waters. This is life. This is the truth. This is the law. Okay. Read.
And hewn them out of cisterns.
Mm-hmm.
Broken cisterns that can't hold no water.
That can hold no water. Okay. So when we should have been kept in the law, when we should have been serving the Most High, we did what we wanted to do. We served other gods. Okay. Revert. Oh, did you finish that verse?
Kind of.
Go to verse 14.
Verse 14. Is Israel a servant?
Is Israel a servant? Read.
Is he a homeborn slave?
Is he a what?
Is he a homeborn slave?
Read.
Why is he spoiled?
And that's what you got to look around at our people sometimes. Are you a homeborn slave? This guy that we just watched is a homeborn slave.
Right.
He can't be nothing else but a slave. That's why the Most High is asking, how many times I got to keep putting y'all in slavery?
Yeah.
Is this the only way you comfortable is being in slavery? You understand? Yeah. Is this the only way we comfortable being in slavery? Because see, a lot of our people, they don't want salvation. They don't want rulership. If it ain't involved in their oppressor, they don't want it. It sounds like it. Right. Their actions don't show it. Right. Because see, we got something called Stockholm Syndrome. Okay. And Stockholm Syndrome means that you are in love with your oppressor.
Yeah.
The person that has raped, robbed, murdered you, kidnapped you, the person that got you locked in the dungeon, the police show up, you ain't gonna turn them in.
Right.
That's Stockholm Syndrome. That's what we got.
Traffic victims.
Go ahead, what were you saying?
It's like traffic victims when they grow up, they're young and they've been trafficked for so long, they don't know where else to go. So when the police comes and do a raid, they're running too. You know, trying to get away from the police who is trying to, or the FBI who's trying to save them. They still want to stay in that situation because that's all they know. And that's where we're at. That's all it seems that we know.
A very crazy visual of that was in Game of Thrones. Good old Theon. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but he was in that cage for a while with his captors, and his sister came to rescue him, and he didn't leave. He chose to stay with them partly out of fear, but he didn't leave. And watching that was crazy. He had an opportunity to go. He didn't take it.
See, that's the thing we gotta ask. Do we really fight blindly and not even know why we're in these conditions? Because that's what happens with our people. We're fighting blindly. And we don't even understand why we're here. You know, okay, as Israel, are we even trying to figure out how to make a change as a people? Are we even trying to figure it out? Like, how do we make things better? How do we change, right? How do we change things? All we sitting here doing is standing on the street marching, and you waiting for the so-called white man. You never think about, well, maybe if we stop killing each other, maybe if we start taking care of our children, maybe we start leading our households different. Maybe we serve the Most High, because those are the same laws He gave us on how to govern ourselves as a people. Okay, and see, if you not trying to figure these things out, and you're not trying to figure out how to change, if this ain't even your concern, then you've already been selected for Babylon's army. You in Babylon's army right now.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to understand that. If you figure out how I know how I need to change, I know what needs to be done for my people, I know the direction we need to go, you're the Most High army. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. That's the line and the division drawn. That's why we see what we saw at the job. That's why we see what we see at the job, at school, right? At school, why we see what we see in the streets, in the military, right? It's the same thing that we see everywhere we go, because there's a war, and it always manifests in the spirit before it manifests physically. Okay, but
So, like, I want to just say something real quick, and it involves this, like the school system. Like, I know we go there, we learn something, but like I personally feel it's not good for our spirits all the time, because every time I walk around school, and I'm talking about my school I was at, I just see triangles everywhere. Like, you know, that like the kind of like the Illuminati triangle. They're like hidden somewhere, like on walls, and they're like very small, very small. Like, and they have it as like three rulers, and then I think an eye in the middle or something like that. And I'm like, why is this here in the school system? We're in school.
Yeah, right. I want to just elaborate. You know, they knew like this is the knowledge that we need as a people, right? And they took it from us from slavery, and they replaced it with these history books, all this education, quote unquote. And you know, growing up, I was in the Georgia school system, which was like the slowest school system you can kind of be in statewide. But you know, when I got a hold of this, I'm like, man, I'm smart, you know, because this is what I needed in me, not these books, you know what I mean? So they try to replace us with all this education. That's foolery, really. You know, I just want to put that out there.
Just indoctrination.
Indoctrination.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, that like everything takes an action. And the thing is, until we begin to put those actions in place, we're never going to be able to rise above, you know, the oppression.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where everybody keeps forgetting the one verse the Father put in there: faith without works is dead. So we can have the faith, we can pray, we can do everything that that we're supposed to do. But until you begin to put actions in place, your work is in vain, or your thoughts is in vain. Like, it's never going to change anything. You know? And that's what our people really need to start, understanding more than anything. And I believe that verse is real powerful, and people just don't really take it into the true consideration.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right, and the church teaches that. Yeah. Right? The church will say faith without works is dead, but don't go into the works.
Yeah. But they don't do the works.
Yeah, they don't.
You're talking about the Christian church.
The bootleg church.
The bootleg church.
The bootleg church. Yeah, they'll pass that. Right. And there's something that's funny you say that. Everything in the Old Testament is done away with, but we still passing that plate.
They ask me that all the time. They keep saying, why do they keep saying that the Old Testament is done away with? A Christian tells me that. Why do they tell us that? Because I guess they're just trying to challenge me. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you tell me why they keep telling you that.
You know why?
Like, because they don't want you to know the truth of the matter.
Absolutely. And they don't want you.
Always read the New Testament.
They start with the New Testament.
Nailed to the cross.
Then when I came into the truth, I understood why they didn't want, because they don't want us to feel y'all and fall in line. Because if they do, we'll knock down the walls of Jericho.
Come on now.
Bring it out. Bring it out.
There you go.
Mama, I don't even want to go to school no more because God lied. I'd rather focus on God.
Facts.
Time is coming and Christian culture, and y'all gonna be at school, be here fasting, meditating, and waiting for them to come in these doors and by the name of Yahweh, they fall when they hit that door.
The school system is only designed to tear down our people. That's all anyways. Because even when you start looking at the so-called problem kids in school, so-called kids that need the medicines and all this stuff for concentration and focus and to be able to be taught, it's only our people.
Yeah. And go ahead. You got some school. Let's stay on the school. Let's stay on the school because that's what we're gonna deal with.
Remember that one teacher who thought like me and July to be on meds just because we were loud?
Wait, say it again.
Remember that we like meds? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
In Great Valley.
Yeah. In elementary school, the white teacher said that they needed meds because they were lying.
No, because I was like,
Me too.
every year. I'm like, I wasn't acting out. I was a good kid, but hey, he need ADHD. I'm like, I stay in myself. You know, my mom couldn't figure it out, but it's systematic. You know, they were trying to do it from the door.
Now.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
With the
And Rand's dyslexic, she got ADHD and all this.
All from the school. Thank you. Go ahead.
like when my son was going to when it was the school that you used to go to, that right sort of with the line in the front.
Yeah,
What was it
Sachs.
called? Yeah, Sachs.
San Antonio Christian School.
San Antonio Christian School. Put my son in San Antonio Christian School.
Right.
They helped with the tuition,
Mhm.
everything. But it was like I kept feeling something that they treated him so well, but it was like they knew something, you know, and it was like he was one of the token black kids that they had over there, you know. But he got there because of his sports, because he knew how to wrestle, jiu-jitsu, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like they was watching him and they're like, okay, well, we want you to come to our school. And so I'm like, okay, this is a good opportunity. But the more I would go there and I would see certain things. And when I come to the school, they know who I was. Oh, your son is so this, your son is so that. And then, you know, they taught the Bible and they had a class, but he couldn't pass it. He couldn't understand it, you know. And I'm like, you know, I took you to church. Why don't you understand this stuff? But the way they teach it, I saw firsthand. This is a way that they teach it. But then you'll see their assemblies and they'll talk about God's people, God's people. And I was like, do they know who got when I finally started coming into the truth? But it's a way, it's the curriculum, even in those schools, teach, you know, you would have to study and get questions, but he couldn't get it right.
Yeah.
And it just was so weird, but it was like the way they treated him was like they knew, like they do know.
Yeah.
They treated him so good. And if I had a little issue, well, we're going to help you. We're going to help you get uniforms. We're going to help you do this. We're going to help you do that. And I was like, why are they so helpful?
Yeah.
And there's only, you could say maybe 5 out of the whole school.
I want to say something.
Go ahead. Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
It's like when I was at that school, like even though people were nice and stuff, like I always felt off, like, and like no one would ever notice it around me, but it just mentally drained me. And I was like, I don't want to do this work over here. It feels so weird. It's just you have like a bunch of just Edomites staring at you. It's like they're nice, but they want you to mess up in some way. They're waiting for me. I was always like a quiet kid. Yeah, I was, and I was always a quiet kid to look around me, and like some of this
preached that time. You remember?
Oh yeah. I don't want to ever. No. Okay. But like it was just so weird there. I was like, there's some not right, and so my grades just started to fall because like I didn't want to listen to all that. The history class sucked. Bible class just we just name all the they would make us listen to songs and be like, yeah, so you got to name all the Bibles. We would just watch movies like, you know, Narnia. He'd be like, so how does that relate to the Bible? Because, you know, I'm like,
yeah.
Like
Narnia was a good movie.
It is a good movie, but like, it is a good movie, but like, come on now. Like,
I say Christianity is gonna weigh you down. Real quick, you got something? So I'm gonna get into this clip.
I think
Hold on.
all of us older people have an obligation and a duty to let our young people know something. And I'm sharing this with you from experience. You know, my wife and I had a conversation this morning, and I asked her. We were reviewing Bible study notes from last night, and I said, was it Yahweh side that said, my people or destroyed for lack of knowledge? Or was it Moses? And she said, I don't know. She said, let's find our Bible notes. I said, no, I said, let me call Shazael and see what scripture there is. And then it just something just hit me. And then you guys are talking about what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And my life is running backwards. And see, my wife is in school now. And she hasn't been in school in 30 some odd years. She graduated from nursing school in 84. I was still on active duty in 85. And then she went back to school in 2003, right before my mom died. She was in RN school. So let me just say this to you young people. And this is very important. You don't have to like it, but I'm asking you to try to understand it. See, because the mistakes and the things that we don't do early on in life, we pay for later. Did you hear what I said? Do you remember hearing what I said about what scripture said? My people suffer for lack of knowledge. Okay, let me explain something to you. This book right here, this is the world knowledge. But that world-class education you get at a 4-year university, you take that and you take this and you put this one on top of that one. Now you're going somewhere. Now you can go anywhere on the globe. See, because you have this education. See, this information you were talking about, the Old Testament and the New Testament. See, the Old Testament teaches you how Yahweh and Yahushua people were trained to live and taught to live. So I'm not trying to preach, but if you have an opportunity to get a world-class education, meaning a college education. My dad used to tell me this all the time, especially when I came off active duty. I was going back to college. He said, when you get that paper, them shackles that have been holding you, that held our generation and my generation, them shackles fall off. Think about that.
You know why they fall out? They fall off because you have something of theirs combined with something of yours.
There
so
you go.
Can fight their war against them. You're fighting from the inside.
You're fighting it from the inside. You got the ammunition.
Now look.
You can knock the walls down now.
Now let's start from here. Now watch this. I want y'all to pay attention to this, and I want y'all to learn this terminology and pay attention to something called critical race theory. Y'all heard about this? If you haven't heard about this, look at what it is. Okay. Okay. Critical race theory. Watch this. Oh, YouTube's got it. Made some money. StreamYard has made some money. Yes. Yeah, they already making money. Okay. This is about the idea of teaching about slavery in school because that makes white children feel bad. So in turn, that's racist for you to teach what happened in history. It's called critical race theory. So that's what they're pushing. They're pushing the idea of we shouldn't even talk about it because it makes our children feel bad. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I saw TikTok, I was like, this man, like, because I'm like, man, they talk about slavery too much. It makes me, it's like in the past, we shouldn't talk about it. It makes me feel sad. Like, what? Okay.
So
Yeah,
your ancestors didn't feel sad about rape, robbing, and murder.
Come on,
There we
come
go.
on.
There we go. Hold on. Watch. So the fact that you even talk about white supremacy, the fact that you can read the definition of the word white in the dictionary, and it's everything pure, everything good, everything wonderful. You read the definition of black in the dictionary, it's everything evil, everything horrible, everything bad.
Everything dark.
Right, everything dark. Okay, that's racism. That's what he's pushing, and we're gonna get a little bit more of this. Okay. Hold on. Fair use. Listen to this. By virtue of your birth, it makes you an oppressor. Because you're telling the truth, it's racism. But if you lie, it's better. You see that? That's the way Babylon is working.
He said it in a fantasy. If you're not reading in between the fluff and the lines, that's why I was laughing because
you heard it.
Fluff.
The way he spoke about racism.
Smoke and mirrors. You're trying to insult my intelligence. But
Yeah.
Right.
You caught that. I heard you laugh. You caught that. Yeah, because that's what he's doing. Yeah.
And basically, they would like America to just, they would like us to just forget about everything that has been done to us.
Well, they have to have that so they don't, this way they don't have to pay for anything and they can do it again.
Did you hear what he said?
Y'all understand that?
Did you hear what he said though?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. If you act like you don't know what's going on and that this never happened, don't think they're gonna do it again. Exactly.
They waiting for a window.
Yeah.
That's why they want everybody to forget and shut it out the way. Because once you forget, when it happened, where you come from.
Yep.
You don't know it no more. It's so much easier to reiterate it.
Right. So then they can get it right from where they failed last time.
Did you hear what he said? Every time you bring that up, you make our children feel bad.
Yep.
I don't give a damn.
Good, yes.
That's right.
You know, because they don't want their children getting mad, because that's the only way they can be able to reintroduce it to their children as something righteous.
We call it indentured servants.
Right.
Change the name.
There
That's
you
what
go.
they want to do.
There you go.
They want
No.
to change the
There you
name.
go.
Indentured servitude
There you
is
go.
voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
See,
voluntary yourself.
so they're gonna make it seem like we volunteered ourselves back then, and they're
Come
gonna
on.
make it seem like when
Come
they
on.
do it again, that we have
Come on.
volunteered ourselves again. That's what they're doing.
It seems like that's the
It's
agenda now, is that, you know, they're trying to sort of, because people are starting to wake up. So you have people like this who say, you know, really smart and eloquent things and make it seem like, oh no, I'm for you. You know, I'm trying to remind you that I'm for you. But in between it, he's saying, oh, we're really not. I'm really for myself. I just need you to feel that I'm for you.
There
So
you
you can
go.
still be for me.
There you
So
go.
I can get you.
And my husband had found a video, and I had I'm not going to speak for him, but it shocked me that before the slave masters used to sell us to people. Oh, my husband said it. I'm sorry, I didn't remember. And he had mentioned how now we sell ourselves to these jobs.
Yeah.
And you know, we have to make them want to hire us. Yeah. And I had never, it blew my mind, because I had never thought of it in that way. And I thought about my own interview, where I worked in the field that I'm in now, but it had been a couple of years. My interview was an hour long.
Wow.
And I had two people in there, and he ended up telling me, you really sold me there. And my starting pay was only $16, and I made 18, 19. I was like, I sold myself short for just $16
an hour.
And when I thought about it, I was like, hey, Daddy, you just cut me real deep with that.
The wildest thing
So
is
hearing that, it's crazy.
the same thing that they used to sell us for back in the day, like, whereas they would say, look at Josh, he's a big, strong N-word. He can do this, he can do that. $15. And now we go and do that at job interviews rather than them sitting and selling us. Now it's us. Yeah, we'll legitimately sell ourselves now for like $15, $20, $12, and we think we got to win. But slavery never ended. You just promoted from slave to employee.
That's why. That's
That's the Most High Adam, though. The Most High said about the work of your brow,
You gonna
work.
yeah,
Most
you
High
gonna
put it
work.
in that.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish this clip. Hold on. Don't forget your question. I want y'all to read this. This is a tweet from him. In less than a year, my work inspired a presidential order, legislation in the largest red states, and bills in the House and Senate. We have flipped school boards and protected millions from state-sanctioned racism. So for you to learn the true origins of Thanksgiving, that's state-sanctioned racism, if you're taught that in school. That's what they've turned it into. Now the victims are the criminals. Yeah, now the victims are the criminals and the criminals are the victims. Y'all see that, right? What's that scripture in Isaiah? Woe to him that say count good for evil and evil for good, right? That's what we're living in those times now. And they're calling it critical race theory. That's the terminology. So when y'all hear it, don't get confused. Don't act like y'all don't know what it is. They're telling you what you know about yourself is a lie. That's all they're doing.
All they're doing is playing on words.
Yeah, that's all they're doing. Okay, I'm gonna finish this real quick.
Care how bad they can make it worse.
Now you hear that? Now the talk of a race being more inferior than another is bad because we got next. And we got to change the narrative before these niggas learn who they are. We got to change the narrative. Because see, as long as we just niggas dressing like ASAP Rocky.
Yeah.
With a dress on.
Playboy Cardi.
Yeah. With a shirt tucked in behind. Who knows where that shirt is tucked in at?
Right.
Never mind.
Who knows? Who knows? I'm telling you what I know about the music industry. Who knows? This ain't the first time he did that. Okay? This ain't, none of them. All of them done been in skirts and dresses, pumps and lipstick.
Lil Nas X.
All of them.
Lil Nas X.
He hear before he got famous, he would hear about the things, the parties.
Yeah.
Famous. He said, and when he got famous and somebody brought him to his magic, he said in every room it was something evil going on. Man sleeping with men, women with women, a man with a child. He was like, oh, I don't like this party. I'm gonna go back to party with my people because y'all white people party too hard and too wrong.
And then what happened after that?
He got locked up.
He got locked up and they banned him from the movies.
Yeah.
And y'all notice that? From stand up and from the movies.
That's why he's speaking the truth.
Right, Cat Williams.
He kept talking about y'all know who the real truth is, the government.
Yeah.
After that, they canceled him.
Yeah, I ain't seen Cat Williams
You ain't gonna
perform
see
in
him
a
until
long
about
time.
that.
I think the last time we saw him was that Def Jam.
It's very short in it too.
Yeah, Def Jam. They had a 50th anniversary for Russell Simmons in it.
Russell Simmons, yeah.
And he was up there, and I hadn't seen Cat Williams in about 3 or 4 years
And they just sit down
since
and shut
that.
up.
Because they're basically going to give you an option. They're going to say, look, it's either going to be your money or your head.
Exactly.
Which one is it going to be? Because the Zionist Jews run the music industry.
Right.
So if you start to tell these truths, okay, you start telling these truths, then all of a sudden people start asking questions. Well, then you start messing with their money.
And then you're a bad slave. Now you're a bad slave.
By him being a black man, he's gonna draw a black audience.
Right.
People gonna start questioning.
That's right.
They know we can't stay stupid too long.
Right.
Well,
Because
I'm gonna speak on some.
There you go.
some of them.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
See, because Babylon not only will they not acknowledge the wrongdoing of the children of Israel, but they don't even want you to know what she has systematically and systemically done to keep you oppressed, docile, and stuck in wickedness. Okay? Because, see, if you know the so-called white man, if you know what the so-called white man's done to you, and you learn about your history and what's been done to your forefathers, you're a racist.
Right.
That's the narrative now. You're a racist. And it's being taught in school. Okay? It's being taught in school. Give me Isaiah 1 and 3. We're going to go to Isaiah 1 and 3. Okay?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib.
Wait, so this is Isaiah comparing two dumb animals. The ox, which is a cow, or a bull, he knows who his owner is. A donkey, a jackass, he knows where his master's house is. Read.
But Israel,
who?
But Israel,
our whole nation, read.
Doth not know.
We don't even know. We don't even know who we are. Read.
My people doth not consider.
We won't even consider who we are as a people. Okay, we won't even consider that. Keep reading.
Verse 4, ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity.
Laden with iniquity. Stacked with iniquity. Read.
A seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward.
They are what?
Gone away backward.
That's what we saw with Step and Fetching over here. Gone away backwards. Go ahead.
Like when we were in Africa, we would see jackasses and cattle roaming around like nobody's business, nobody's bothering them, and just listening to the scripture. And you talk to them, they're like, oh, they'll go home at night when they're done.
Oh,
They know exactly where they're running free. There's nothing on their necks.
Yep.
There's no tags
cowbell.
and no cowbells. Nobody saying, "Come here, Betsy." A group of them will go out and maybe go to somebody else's house and eat and drink somebody else's grass and water, and then they go home. And this scripture is not like a parable. This is real.
Yeah.
When you see it firsthand, when you see this actually happen, it's not like how it is over here. We're like the cattle over here in a corral,
Yeah.
and we got to be told where to go. You don't see them herding cattle over there.
Right.
You don't see that. They may herd them when it's time to bathe them or something like that, but they get to go out and they come home at night. And it's just crazy how the scriptures open up, because you really see it firsthand that it's real, just like that. And you can compare that over there to us here. It's like we're like the cattle here. We're always corralled. Our master got to tell us where to go, what time we got to get up and go to work and eat and sleep, and
when to take your shot.
When to take when to take your shot.
When to take your shot. When to take the 3-month shot. Then the 3-month shot after that.
So it's just
Jake just get right in line.
Yeah, we just
get line I get in, master. Right?
Master, pick me, master.
Pick me,
like
master.
I said, these are not the smartest animals. They're very, they're not the smartest. They're smart, but not the smartest. But can you imagine just imagine you letting some dogs you can let out and they just might not come home.
Right.
But these are just regular animals that can get eaten and they still go home to their master.
And this just kind of shows, because we were on the Eastern Hemisphere, this shows what Isaiah was seeing. He was seeing this and saw this in a parable. And he used this in the prophecy that the Most High gave him with an ox and a donkey. Okay, read verse 5.
Verse 5. Why should ye be stricken any more? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint.
So why should we be stricken? Why do we keep having to be stricken? Why do we keep having this sickness? Why you keep doing this to yourself? That's what the Most High is asking. Read.
From the sole of the foot.
From the bottom, read.
Even unto the head.
From the bottom to the top, read.
There is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises.
And our people are bruised and wounded from everything that we have actually submitted and subjected ourselves to under our oppressors. Okay, go ahead.
And putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
And this is one of them. This reparations. It's an open-ended sore that just isn't going to get healed in this country. Okay, these people they leave these sores open, just like the Most High is saying. And what happens when you have open wounds? And what happens? You get sick. You feel horrible. Yeah, you don't treat, you die. You see what I'm saying? This is the condition that our people are in, right? Keep reading.
Your country is desolate.
Our country is desolate right now. And I was just telling Nava this. If you look at the land of Israel, one of the curses that the Most High brings on lands is when he shuts off the rain. This way the vegetation can't grow. In Israel right now, they import everything. Everything. They can't hardly grow anything out there.
They're suffering right now.
So if y'all the children of Israel, you're supposed to be able to eat off the fruit of the land. You're supposed to be prosperous. Nobody should have to, shouldn't have to go to another country to to be taken care of. But read verse 7 again.
Your country is desolate.
Come on.
Your cities are burned with fire.
Read.
Your land strangers.
Your land what?
Your land. Strangers devour.
Strangers devour. Go ahead.
Devour it in your presence.
How many of our people are over in Israel right now? Quite a few though. And they're trying to kick them out, but they're still there, right? Read that part of the scripture again.
Your land, strangers devour it in your presence.
That's happening right now. Go ahead.
And it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers.
Come on.
And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city.
As a besieged city. That's a city that's been conquered and left for dead. That's the condition our people are in here in this country. And here in Babylon, that's why we the Walking Dead. They made that show about us. That's talking about us. Yeah, that's what it is. We're gonna go into it. Let's get Revelation 11 and 7. Okay. Revelation 11 and 7. Y'all gonna find out why they made The Walking Dead about children of Israel.
You just can't seem to get it right.
Go ahead and bring that up.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them.
Okay, this is talking about the prophets of old. Okay, after they finish their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them. Talking about the children of Israel, going to get war made against them. Go ahead.
And shall overcome them and kill them.
This is talking about the so-called white man. Okay, go ahead.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Which is spiritually called what?
Sodom and Egypt.
Okay, stop right there. Is this not the American way?
Yeah.
Y'all still got your dollar bills?
Yeah.
Spiritually, it's called Sodom and Egypt. That's where we are. Okay, go ahead. Read the rest of that.
Where also our king was crucified.
Where he was crucified. Why does it say where he was crucified? Because they turned him from a black man into a cracker. So he was killed again. His image was killed again. Okay.
You know, I was watching. I get this thing I'm watching. This call.
Don't lose your place.
The race ride, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching the segment. It just kind of drew some revelation into my mind the other day when I was watching it, because there was a woman on there. She was a Hebrew woman. She was screaming out like, they came and picked our bodies up off these streets, and our bodies have been laying here mangled. And she's like, y'all can't see it. And she just kept going on and on and on about it.
That's right.
And they was calling her crazy. And then eventually the police came and arrested her because she was saying, y'all left our bodies laying here in these streets dead. And she's like, and now y'all just came and collected your property. Because those was your property.
That's right.
You know, and it was like, it was pretty deep. And it kind of took me back to Revelation.
Yeah.
And I started hearing that.
Right.
And actually, you know, it just messed with my spirit a little bit.
Because when you see it, you know, it tears you apart because you know what it means. And then you got other people around that don't get it. They won't get it.
And it took me there and they said our bodies would be laying dead in the streets for 3 days.
That's the next verse. Read that. Read verse 9.
Verse 9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in grave.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
That's what was going on in this city that we was talking about. I want to say it was George Ford died over Getaway, somewhere around there.
Go ahead. Bring verse 10.
Verse 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth.
So the whole point of the prophecy has to do with the people that are in rulership right now. They're worshiping each other, sending each other gifts because the children of Israel are not in rulership, or not in power. Evil reigns on the earth right now. Okay. Let's precept this in Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 3. Ezekiel 37, verse 3. Anybody ever heard of the Valley of Dry Bones? You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
You ever heard of that? No? Never heard of it? Okay. So the thing about the Valley of Dry Bones, the bootleg church will talk about it, but they can't break it down. They don't know what the hell they read. Okay. We're finna precept what we just read in Revelation, which is the end. We're going to precept that in the book of Ezekiel, which is the so-called Old Testament, which is supposed to be done away with. Okay. Let's read that. Read verse Ezekiel 37 and 3. Okay. Read what you got.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Yahweh, Elohim, thou knowest. Again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones.
Prophesy unto these bones. Teach these dead bodies. Read.
And say unto them, O ye dry bones.
O you dry bones. Read.
Hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live.
That breath that he's talking about is not air. It's the Ruach HaKodesh. It's a spirit that brings into remembrance who you are. Okay.
Bones ain't dead people.
They're not dead people.
They're dead spirits, dead spirits.
Spiritually, right? Right. Read.
Verse 6, and I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live.
And ye shall what?
And ye shall live.
And ye shall live. Read.
And ye shall know that I am Yahweh.
You're gonna know who he is. You understand? That's the Ruach. That's what that breath of life is. Read.
So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone.
Read.
And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Verse 9, then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind.
If they don't listen, because they're here, if they don't listen, prophesy to the wind. That's what we do. We prophesy to the wind. Read.
Son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, and that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army.
And what?
An exceeding great army.
This great army is the Most High's army. This is the war that he's talking about. This is how we're raised up. You understand? Read on.
Verse 11. Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel.
Are what?
The whole house of Israel.
Are what?
The whole house of Israel.
The whole house of Israel. That's what these bones are. Okay? That's how you know these bones are not damn flesh-eating, maggot-filled zombies. Okay? You listen to the Christian church, they have no idea what they're reading. Because when you start to read that these bones in the valley of dry bone are the whole house of Israel, you got to exclude some folks. You got to exclude some people. And the Christian church can't do that because they mess with their money.
Talk about that.
Right. They're not going to talk about that because that don't make everybody.
They don't read that.
They won't read that part because that won't make everybody pull their money out.
But they don't even describe it like that. They describe it as a literal burial of dead people.
That's why we keep reading. That's why we keep reading. We don't read one verse and then
close the book, sing a song,
and sing a song,
dance around the church, fall out and stuff like that.
Slobber. Right. Go to the Old Testament with this one in Malachi 3:8 with a man around God. We'll read that one. Right? We'll read that one. Right. Read verse 13.
Verse 13.
Wait. No, read verse 12 again.
I was on 11, Dad.
No, read verse 11. Okay.
Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dry, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts.
You see that? This isn't about dead people. This is about spiritually dead bodies that are walking around in the streets, and we see it every day. Every day. The real zombies, the real walking dead. Okay, keep reading.
Therefore, prophesy and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, O my people, I will open up your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves.
So we're going to come up out of our graves, and what else?
And bring you into the land of Yasharallah.
Come on.
And ye shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves.
Yeah, bring it home in verse 14.
Verse 14, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live.
This is that breath. Read.
And I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that I, Yahweh, have spoken it and performed it.
I spoke it and I performed it.
Saith Yahweh.
Saith the Lord. You understand? Y'all see why we have to study in precepts? Y'all see how we had to go to Revelation and then we get the understanding here in Ezekiel?
You know what this reminds me of too? Lazarus.
Oh yeah.
This is always, every time I read this, I think about Lazarus.
That's right. Let's get Proverbs 4 and 7. Proverbs 4 and 7. See, this is why we have to study in precepts, because what we're taught in the world is no different than philosophy. It's all man-made philosophy and vain repetition. That's all it is. Okay, bring that up.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7.
If you don't have this highlighted in your Bible, please take a highlighter and highlight this so you can understand. Read.
Wisdom is the principal thing.
Wisdom is the principal thing. Read.
Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding.
Get what?
Understanding.
Get understanding. Get understanding. That's what's wrong with our people. That's why people feel like they lost. They're hopeless. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. They're just lost in the sauce. You know, we're lost in the sauce. Everybody heard that before, right? You're lost in the sauce. Okay. That's one of the worst things that can happen to somebody is not having an understand. What's worse? Having something that happened to you and you understand why you made that mistake, or having something happen to you that you just, it makes no sense. What's worse?
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Because what are you gonna do after? You don't know what to do.
How you correct it? How you keep it from happening again?
Right. And that's where the wisdom comes from.
Yes.
That's where the wisdom of the Most High comes from. Okay. And that's how we get understanding. With all that we're getting, we get understanding. Whether it means that we got to go into the Hebrew, which some congregations don't go into the Hebrew, which I don't understand, because the scripture says, with all that you're getting, get understanding. So why stop at that? Why stop at just the English language when we know the English language is the youngest language? So why do we stop there? Well, we have ways to get understanding. That's the whole point. Okay. Let's get James 4:1.
Can I say something? Can I say what I was going to say?
Go ahead.
So, you know, next year I'm going to be 15. I was thinking of just getting a job. Is that bad? Because you're saying, like, am I selling myself that I want to have a job? Like, I want to eat.
Jaden, you're 15. You're going to be 15. It's not like.
I know, but still, I'd rather start because
Independent.
I don't want to start late.
Well, we'll talk about it. We'll counsel about it. That's a good question. Okay, that's a good question. We'll talk about that after this. We'll talk about it. Okay, let's get James 4:1.
James chapter 4, verse 1. From whence come wars and fighting among you? Come they not hence, even of your lusts that war in your members? Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is the
friendship of the world, read,
is an enmity with Elohim?
Do you know that if you are friends and everything with the world and love the things of the world, you are against the Heavenly Father? That's what this is, the Messiah's brother speaking. Okay, read that part again.
Con, ye adulterers and adulteresses.
You understand why he's calling you adulterers and adulteresses? Because you're cheating the Father. You're serving other gods. Right? Read.
Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with Elohim?
So when we start talking about ASAP Rocky, his God is money. He says it all the time. Yeah, he's the enemy. If the Most High told him to stop eating pork, don't worry about your money, put some pants on, it's a problem. He might gun you down. And it's easier for a camel because he had that money because he is at enmity with the Most High. Okay, read on.
Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of Elohim.
Go ahead.
Do you think that the scripture saith in vain? The spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy.
The spirit that we have, it lusts to envy. We want to be jealous. Our spirit wants to go after other things, right? Read.
But he giveth more grace.
He gives us grace because we're in the world, but we're not of the world. Okay, so he gives us that grace. It's not a license to sin. It's a grace period. It's a time to get it right. Okay, go ahead.
Wherefore he saith, Elohim resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Salakia.
He resists the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. See, there's a difference between pride. There's a big difference between being bold and prideful. There's a big difference.
I hate to say some of the young people in the room.
Okay.
I understand that, but
Right. Okay. So Proverbs 28:1 says that the wicked flee when no man pursue, but the righteous are bold as a lion.
Right.
As a lion, meaning you can stand there in boldness. There's nothing wrong with standing there in boldness. But to be prideful means nobody can't tell you nothing. Can't tell you nothing. You know it all already. Nobody can tell me nothing. I get it already. I got it. I got it figured out. You can't tell me nothing. See, even in my position as a king and priest in Yasharal, in my years and my studies, I can listen to my brother because I can learn from him. I can listen to my brother right here because I can learn from him. I can listen to my children and I can learn from them. Now, we'll stand out on the street corner and we'll be bold as lions. But I'm not prideful that I can't hear anything or listen to my sisters, listen to my children, or listen to my brothers. And that's the difference. That's the way that we're supposed to walk. And that's what James was talking about. Okay? Read verse 6 again.
But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, Elohim resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble.
The humble. You stay humble, you get grace. Read on.
Verse 7, submit yourselves therefore to Elohim. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you.
Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Read on.
Draw nigh to Elohim.
Draw close to the Most High. Go ahead.
And he will draw nigh to you.
Everybody understand that? You got to make the first step. You got to make the first step. He already knows what you're going to do. He already knows the beginning from the end. He just needs to see you be obedient. That's it. Right. He just needs you to be obedient. Right? Read on.
Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded.
Read on.
Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the King, and he shall lift you up.
And he shall what?
Lift you up.
Be humble in the sight of the Most High, and he's going to raise you up. You don't always have to do everything yourself. Okay? We don't always have to do everything ourselves. Hold on. Okay? Don't forget what you're going to say. We're going to get a few more precepts. Okay? Let's get Deuteronomy 28:1. Okay? We don't always have to do everything ourselves. Okay? And when you understand that when we read in the book of Deuteronomy, we're reading about Moses that has brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. He's speaking to them from a perspective of a moderator, of a mediator, my fault, from a mediator's perspective. So he's speaking almost as a attorney for the Most High. We would understand it as an attorney from the Most High. Okay? Read what you got.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass.
Now stop right there. Remember verse 10. He said, if we humble ourselves in the sight of the Most High, he's going to lift us up. Right? That's what we just read, right? That's in the New Testament. Read. This is why James said that. Read.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy Elohim will set thee on high above.
Will set these what?
On high above all nations of the earth.
He's going to lift us up. He's going to lift us up. Right? Why don't our people want that? Why is this a problem?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a set of orders, and you get lifted up. That's
right.
Well,
and a lot of black folks are people pleasers. That's how they get caught up.
Right.
Trying to sit up there and convert somebody and wind up getting converted themselves. Trying to not to want to speak when they need to speak, or rebuke when they need to rebuke, or arrest the people's thoughts, and tell them the truth. I stand on this, and you're not gonna. And if you don't, if we can't see eye to eye, I pray for you to keep it moving. I hope you wake up one day and it ain't too late when you in hell.
I think a lot of us are afraid to.
Yeah, because when you come to Father God and learn His laws, let you walk away from them.
But let me show you something. You know what? I'm just going to use this page in Deuteronomy. I'm just going to use this page as an example. This page right here, chapter 28, from verse 14 all the way to 32. Just going to use this as an example. These are the laws, these are the beginning of the laws, statutes, and commandments. Each and every one of us in here know that. And there are 600 something laws and statutes and commandments. Yeah. So to make a short story.
Yeah.
We just don't want to commit. You gotta want to commit. You gotta want to commit. You, my brother, are you my brother's keeper? Are you my brother's keeper? Yes or no? Who said that? Okay. You know I ain't been keeping my laws and statutes and commandments. What should you do?
I'll call you out on it.
Okay. And what should I do? I should repent. I should repent. And I should
come back.
And come back.
Right.
But we don't want to do that because we don't want other folks thinking we weak. Oh, you studying. You studying your commandments and your statutes and your laws. They taking that, they looking at that as being a weakness. But I look at it as being, I look at him on study night. And I see him and my young lions reciting scripture and going through. And actually what we're doing, they're telling a story. I'm looking at that from old eyes. See, these eyes are much older than those eyes out there. I'm looking at that and I'm gaining strength. And I'm looking at that and thinking, I can use this to strengthen my inner man. And maybe my wife and my children and my neighbor. But our people, we look at it as, oh, they jive, they square, they stay up in the house. Oh, they don't go out in the streets. They on Tuesday nights and Friday nights, they got their little speaker on, hooked up to their iPhone, and they listening to the words and the study. Right. We got to do better than that. We got to strengthen. We got to strengthen one another. There's a reason why we're doing it. What we're doing is we're practicing we're practicing the laws, statutes, and commandments of our forefathers. Am I right?
This is a rehearsal.
This is right.
This is a rehearsal. That's what we're doing. Hold on. Read verse 28. Chapter 28, verse 1.
We're afraid to do that.
Yeah, we don't want to win the war. Our people don't want to win the war. Read what you got.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy Elohim will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So that's how he's going to lift us up, right? And this is, why we don't want that is because a lot of our people just don't want to win the war. Go to Deuteronomy 9 and 4. Okay, we're gonna get. Hold on, we need to get through these precepts. Hold what you got. Don't forget it. Okay, Deuteronomy 9 and 4.
Found.
Okay, bring it up.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, verse 4. Speaking not thou in thine heart. After that, Yahweh thy Elohim hath cast them out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness, Yahweh hath brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh doth drive them out from before thee,
Mhm.
not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart.
Not for the righteousness or your uprightness. Your uprightness. Go ahead.
Dost thou go to possess their land,
Mhm.
but for the wickedness,
Before the what?
for the wickedness
Mhm.
of these nations, Yahweh thy Elohim doth drive them out from before thee, and that he may perform the word which Yahweh sware unto my fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Bring it to verse 6.
Verse 6, understand therefore that Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee not this good land to possess it for thy righteousness.
You haven't been given this land because you're so righteous. Read.
For thou art a stiff-necked people.
Well, our what?
A stiff-necked people.
See, during that time, the Most High had Israel at war against the nations. Okay, in history, you can look all this up in history, because the other nations were evil and they had to be removed. It wasn't because we were so righteous. Okay, they had to be moved. He wants us to remember that. He wants us to remember. Don't think because you're the children of Israel that you were so righteous. That's why I gave you this land. It was because these people were so damn wicked. They had to go. They were that wicked. They had to go.
More wicked than we were.
More wicked than we were. So I'm going to give you the land of Canaan because it was already somebody else's land. You see what I'm saying? The Canaanites had to go. Okay. Let's get Deuteronomy 10 and 16. Now I want you to get Baruch 2 and 28. We're gonna get that one first. That Deuteronomy 10 and 16.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10, verse 16. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart.
Stop right there. Circumcise what?
Therefore, the foreskin of your heart.
The foreskin of your heart. Circumcision is not a New Testament concept. Okay, Moses was talking about circumcising your heart. The foreskin of your heart. That means keeping the law. That's what it is.
Sounds very easy.
Yeah, keeping the law.
I know it's this hard, but other people might think it's this hard.
Right. That's right. That's right. The foreskin of your heart. That's keeping the law. You think in your mind, because the heart in the Bible and the scriptures is your mind. Okay, read.
And be no more stiff-necked.
And be what?
Be no more stiff-necked.
Be no more stiff-necked. Read on.
Verse 17. For Yahweh your Elohim is Elohim of gods and King of kings, a great Elohim, a mighty and a terrible.
And a what?
And a terrible.
Read.
Which regardeth not persons, nor taketh reward.
He don't care what you done, how much money you got, what you look like. He don't care how nice your walk is, how pretty your hair is, how smart you are, how dumb you are. Okay, and he ain't taking no rewards. He's a righteous power. Okay, let's get Baruch 2 and 28. That's in the Apocrypha. Okay, Baruch 2 and 28.
Christian pastors take rewards.
Pastors take rewards on every Sunday. So, no, actually, maybe every Monday too, when they take the church's money and put it in the white man's bank.
Friday, Tuesday.
Inquire me.
Might have some anointing in the back.
Might as well be every day. Might as well be every day.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that oil, sis. I'm talking about the pastors. Yeah, I'm talking about that kind of anointing. Go ahead.
So when you was like talking about some people think like worshiping the Most High, I mean the Bible is like weeds, because I think some people associate like latching onto something like religion or whatever as like a weakness. Like, you know, you're not complete yourself, which is why you latch into a higher power. That's what some people think.
And you know, and you know something, and that's pretty heavy, because what happens a lot of times is people see you with a Bible and they automatically equate it to religion.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they don't read it, so they don't know that we're reading about laws and history. That's what we're reading about. The Bible is a law book and a history book. It's not culture.
Be religious to, like, you know, if you're reading the Bible, like, I think some atheists don't like hate God. I think some people were like any higher power, and some of them like, you know, there's some weirdos.
Well, you got to realize religion, when you start speaking from that perspective, it's man-made.
Yeah.
Religion is man-made. This has to do with who we are as a people. Everybody else has a identity. Everybody has an identity. East Indians have an identity. They can tell you they from India. The Chinese man can tell you where he's from. You ask us, we say what?
African American.
So I'm black.
We're
Black. I'm black. Right?
One thing too, what you were saying about how some people view you associating yourself with the Bible as a weakness. This right here, the laws that were given to us, is a foundation. So if you don't have a foundation, you're gonna go wherever the wind blows you. Exactly, and so that this is a little better for you.
You gotta have a foundation. Your foundation is what you stand on.
Go ahead and read what you got up.
Oh, yes, sir. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 2, verse 28. And as thou spakest by my servant Moses, in the day when thou didst command him to write thy law before the children of Israel, saying.
Now, this is Baruch recalling what happened, what we just read. Okay, read.
If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them.
Where I will what?
Where I will scatter them.
Where I will scatter them. We don't read this in the church either. How come we don't talk about the children of Israel being scattered in all nations? Right? Read on.
For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people.
Because what?
Because it is a stiff-necked people.
Read.
But in the land of their captives.
But in the land of their captivities, read.
They shall remember themselves.
They shall what?
They shall remember themselves.
That's what it says. That's where we are. Hallelujah. That's where we are. That's where we go all the way around and read about these dry bones and how these dry bones can live. In their captivity, they're going to remember themselves, right? Read on.
And shall know that I am Yahweh, their power. For I will give them an heart.
I'll give them a mind, read.
And ears to hear.
And an understanding. That's what he's saying. I'm going to give them a mind. Our understand. If y'all notice, y'all walk around, I know it's not just me, okay? But I know y'all walk around and y'all hear some of the conversations of the people in the world, and you thinking to yourself, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Like, is this what y'all is this what y'all thinking about all day? Like, are y'all really? This is what's on your mind all day? I'm telling you, I'm not the only one. You agree? You just so weird.
I was telling her.
Beyond her years. She beyond her years.
Yeah.
What we saying now?
I was telling her the other day, I was walking by, I'm in the little service department at my job, and this dude's like, I wonder what language deaf people think in. And I was like, that's about the dumbest thing.
That's deep, though. You know what that is? That's a deep dummy.
Yeah. I was like, this was his greatest thought of the day. I was like, hold on. I'm like, really, this is what you worked up in your head. What language?
Right after this.
Yeah, I called her right after.
And he was like, you would not believe it. I heard the dumbest thing right now. Like, what? And that, I was baffled.
Yeah, it's
you gotta call somebody.
Yeah, because he was deep thinking. That's what he was really doing.
That's too much.
What language is a deaf person
thinking in?
That is
okay, you know, look, hold on. If we keep going into this, we're gonna lose IQ points, okay? That was the deep dummy award of the month. That dude right there.
Verse 32. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity.
Is that not what we're doing? Because we're still in the land of our captivity. We keeping Passover. We sending up prayers every day. Okay, read on.
And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name.
And think upon what?
And think upon my name.
And think upon my name. Right? Now, I can go deep into that too, but I'm not going to do it. Read on.
And return from their stiff neck.
And return from what?
And return from their stiff neck.
Read on.
And from their wicked deeds.
Come on.
For they shall remember the way of their fathers, was sent before Yahweh.
And that's what we're doing. We're talking about what happened, where we came from. Like my brother just got through saying, a foundation. If we don't have this foundation to know where to grow from, how do we get better? How do we fix ourselves? Read on.
Verse 34.
Mhm.
And I will bring them again into the land which I promised.
Again. He said he's going to bring us again into the land. Read.
With an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they shall be lords of it.
That means we're going to be the kings of that land. Read.
And I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished.
Bring home verse 35.
Verse 35. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power. And they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them.
Once we get back in that land, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. We ain't going back to this. Okay. So this is why critical race theory has to be introduced in the schools. So we don't know who the hell we are. So they don't wake up and realize, wait a minute, we enslaved everybody on the planet. Maybe God don't look like us. Maybe we're the devil. Maybe those black guys on the corners are right.
I gotta get out of here while I still can.
Go ahead.
Once we get back in our land and we start prospering, everything just begins to flourish in our way.
Yep.
Everything that's left for them is going to plunder. And that's what they really don't realize right now. That, that the favor of the Father is on the land only because we're on the land.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it.
And
Once we
we're no
leave,
longer on the land, the Father lifts up his ruach from here, and the place is going to plunder.
that's it.
Hallelujah.
That's right. You had something real quick?
Yeah, this read is very short, but this is what I believe is just what we have to do in order for like these things to happen. Deuteronomy 11:1.
I got it up.
Okay.
Done.
Give me 7 seconds. Go ahead.
Come on, kid.
Go ahead.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 1. Therefore, thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments, always.
Always.
So that's always.
Always.
Not sometimes, not when we feel like it.
Not 99%
It's that,
of the
look how
time.
short that scripture is.
Yeah,
It tells
always.
you what to do.
Yeah, always.
And I think if we all start doing that wholeheartedly, then we're gonna get the kingdom.
That's
and he's
right.
gonna keep speeding it up for the elect's sake.
That's
But
right.
these are the things that we don't do, that we say that's done away with.
Right.
And it says always.
Yeah.
It's that short.
Yeah.
It's simple, straight to the point, no chaser.
Mhm.
That's
None.
it.
And you know what? There was a good brother. I had the blessing of meeting on the plane the other day. We were chopping it up about some scriptures, and we were talking about some Old Testament only Israelites. Some of you brothers know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Torah only Israelites. Okay, they are brothers, but they are. Okay, and we went into a scripture. Okay, and it actually is in the book of Joshua. Okay, I want you to read it. Actually, I want Joshua to read it. Okay.
Joshua read it.
Yeah, I want Joshua to read Joshua chapter 5, verse 8. I want y'all to highlight this scripture. Okay. Joshua
5
and 8. We're going to read down to 15. Okay.
And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, this day I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you.
So this was the day that he took all of the shame that we had on us as a people from being in captivity. He took it all away. This was the day he did that with Joshua. Okay, read on.
Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at evening.
No, it's not even. You said it right.
In the plains of Jericho, they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna anymore, but they did eat of the first fruit of the land of Canaan that year.
So that year they started eating off the land, right? How come fake Jews can't do that? This don't have nothing to do with imports. Okay, read on.
And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho,
listen good, Israel,
that he lift up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand.
With what?
His sword drawn in his hand.
Why would a man have a sword drawn in his hand? Is he there to hug you?
No, he's gonna fight.
He's there for what? He's there to fight, right?
That well done beef.
Yeah. That well done.
There you go.
Go ahead, read on.
And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, art thou for us or for our adversary?
Are you with us or are you against us? What did he say?
And he said, nay, but as captain of the host of Yahweh, I am now come.
Wait. I as what?
But as the captain of the host of Yahweh, I am now come.
The captain of the host of the Lord, I am now come. The captain. Okay. This ain't no angel. No regular angel. Okay. Read on.
This is a warrior.
Go ahead.
And Joshua fell on his face to the earth.
He did what?
Fell on his face to the earth.
Read.
And did worship. And said unto him, what saith Yahweh unto his servant? And the captain of Yahweh's host said unto Joshua, loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place wherein thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so.
This is Yahweh Shai coming to Joshua so he knows who the captain of the Lord's host is. You understand that? And he had his sword drawn. He's not coming back for hugs and kisses. Okay, this is here for our learning. You understand? When have we seen, like my brother said, when have we seen Joshua or Moses worship any angels? They don't. You understand that? He knew who he was dealing with right here. Okay, let's get Exodus 15:3. Go ahead and bring that out. Exodus 15:3. Okay, bring that.
Okay. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 15, verse 3. Excuse me. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh chariots.
Wait, stop right here. So we understand that Yahweh is a man of war. So every time we read that word in all caps, that's the tetragrammaton. So we would read that Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. He's not this. There is a war that is going to come, and you're going to have to understand who you're fighting with, the enemy or Yahweh. That's just it. It's real simple. Okay, because there's two sides to every war. All right, let's get Revelation 17:1. Okay, we're gonna get down into some deep prophecy right here. I got like 2 more precepts. Revelation 17:1.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 17, verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore.
Of the what?
Of the great whore. That sitteth upon many waters.
So this is John in the island of Patmos, exiled on the island of Patmos. He's getting shown by the angel this great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Let's see, the Great Lakes, the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Pacific. What great whore are we talking about here? It's Babylon right here. It's America. Okay, read on.
Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
America leads in everything. In everything. They push everything. Every bit of wickedness you have on the earth comes straight from here. First, to legalize gay marriages. Okay, now you can marry your horse. You marry a spirit. We go into this all the time. You marry yourself. Courtesy of America, right? Read on.
Verse 3, so he carried me away in spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Having 7 heads and 10 horns. These are the scripture's going to break it down. Go ahead. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls.
You see this? She was decked up. She looks beautiful. Beautiful, right? Read.
Having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness.
Full of Stella Rosa.
Full of abominations and filthiness.
Full of abominations and filthiness. Read.
Of her fornication.
Of her fornications. Of her wickedness. That means if she's got a cup full of it, she's serving it. Right? She's giving it away, right? Read on.
And upon her forehead was a name written. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Everybody understand that? This is, she births all of it. It all comes from Babylon. It all comes from this country right here.
It's wild too, because every country that you can go to, because I have been around a lot, every country that you can think to go to, everybody is trying to emulate America. Everybody's trying to emulate it. That's wild.
Right. And you can't get away from the judgments in the scriptures.
Muslim women didn't even used to wear jeans, but they see
they've been over here long enough. And guess what? Speaking of Muslims, the Muslim men, they gay now. You get put to death for that over there. But you can be over here and have a boyfriend.
Oh, they do it. They do it out there too.
Yeah,
I was
but is it as bad as it is here?
It's pretty bad.
Now, probably it is.
I was teaching a class because I was teaching Afghan soldiers. I'm teaching a class, and right in the middle of me teaching these dudes how to do whatever, these dudes holding hands and kissing.
Yeah, but it didn't used to be that way. Yeah. It didn't used to be that open though, to where they were doing that, because that Sharia law, they were putting them to death. You know what I'm saying? Like in the 90s. Yeah, it's gotten way worse now. I mean, for them to break out like that, come on now. Come on. Hold on real quick. Let's get through these precepts. Don't forget what you got. Let's get second address 13. Okay? Okay, second address 13. You don't want to miss this. Second address 13. Okay, we're going to start at verse 2.
Okay. This is the book of second address, 13, verse 2. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof.
Okay, this wind is talking about war. Okay, talking about armies and war. Read.
And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven.
With what?
With the thousands of heaven.
Read.
And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him.
Come on, this is talking about the Messiah. Okay, read on.
And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice.
Everybody that heard his voice, they burned. Read.
Like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire.
Come on.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of a number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
Okay, this four winds are armies coming out of rulership. Okay, because now this is what's going to happen. All these nations are going to make war with the Most High. Okay, and when they see Yahushua come with all the angels, they're going to make war with him. This is the prophecy Ezra's given. Okay, read on.
Verse 6. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it.
So he made to himself a great mountain, meaning a government. Okay, a government of people. Okay, read.
But I would not have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid. And yet there's fire. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand.
He neither lifted up his hand,
nor held sword.
Nor held sword, read.
Nor any instrument of war.
He didn't hold anything in his hand. What did he do?
But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire.
A what?
A blast of fire.
Read.
And out of his lips a flaming breath. And out of his tongue he cast out sparks as tempers. And they were all mixed together. And the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one.
And what?
And burned them up every one.
That's how the war happens and is over in 1 hour. Read on.
So that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, excuse me, Salakia, no thing was to be perceived.
So even though you couldn't number all the people, you couldn't see anybody after this. Read.
But only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
Ezra was terrified. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Read.
Afterward, I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceful multitude.
Another peaceful multitude. After that, he called another multitude, but it was a peaceful multitude. Okay, read.
And there came much people unto him.
You understand? This is talking about the war, what happens at the war, and the 1/3 of Israel, men, women, and children that are going to come after the war. Okay, read.
Whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and others some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awakened and said, Thou hast shown thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream.
There you go. Let's jump down to verse 25.
Yes. Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 25. This is the meaning of the vision. Whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea, the same is he whom Yahweh the highest have kept a great season.
He's kept this man a great season. He's held on to this man that you saw for a long time. I've been holding him back for a long time. Go ahead.
Which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind.
So that's why Yahweh Shai doesn't know when he's coming back, because it's up to the Most High when he's going to send him back. Okay, read.
And whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him.
They rushed to subdue him and were all destroyed, running up. Go ahead.
This is their interpretation.
Read.
Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
Good. Jump to verse 34.
Verse 34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, and thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
Okay, let's see if this mixed multitude is Caucasians, Asians, Arabs, Chinese, and Hamites. Let's see. Read.
Verse 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion.
Of what?
But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion.
Of who?
But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion.
Read.
And Zion shall come.
Zion shall come, bro.
And shall be showed, and shall be showed to all men. Being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands.
Let's give the Most High a hand clap for choosing the children of Israel for salvation. Whether you like it or not, all right, we got any questions about the lesson? Anything that we didn't understand? Anything that may have been confusing? Or anything, somebody in comments, questions? Nothing? Nothing? You got something? Is it pertaining to the lesson? Hold what you got. Okay. Hold what you got. Hold what you got. Is it pertaining to the lesson?
So when I was alone, I went downstairs, right? She was watching this documentary about the LGBT islanders of Australia. There's like an entire island and they're all like LGBT.
Wow.
Oh, island of gay people.
They're not only gay. There's like
fair use. So what happened?
I just saw it when watching the documentary. It's like it was like on their lives and whatever how they live. Like they all looked weird, man. Like they were awesome.
Did they were they talking about their culture or
talking about like the history of the island? This is a documentary. People come down there and like ask the locals. how you live, how this all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of gay black men now. Usually I didn't see it of color so much. Now they wearing dresses. I'm like, y'all know y'all stopping y'all. Y'all need to look how you cannot with another man.
Well, all we got to do is take a look at.
Yes.
He's in Babylon's army. What side are you gonna be on? Okay. Now, I wanna thank young Keno and my brother Jabari for helping me on with the lesson. I thank everybody here that's involved with the class. Thank everybody for being here. Thank everybody online. I hope and pray that this was edifying. As always, I want to give a shout out to leadership and KOI. Shout out to the congregation. Shout out to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad. Double honors to the elders, the messengers of the covenant. And as always, I want to give all honor, power, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. And with that, say shalom.
Shalom.